Hi everyone, welcome back to Python Fundamental series. So far in this series, we have learned how to store data using variables, list, tuple, set, or dictionary. But storing data is one part of the programming. A real program should also be able to make decisions. Uh, let's start with an example. Let's say we have a student and he got marks is equal to 85. Okay, so should the result be a pass or a fail? That programmatically we should be able to make the decision. Or I would say precisely, the program itself should be able to make a decision based on some conditions. And that decisions in Python we make using the conditional statements. So today we will be learning if else, elif, all these statements we will be learning. Okay. So just to give a few more examples, this is one of the example pass fail, or let's say we have another example. Let me pass or fail. We have another example. Fees pending. Okay. So if fees is pending or not, if marks are given, if the student is pass or fail, this all we can do using the conditional statement. And how we can have the conditional statement? If marks are greater than 40, then pass. Okay. Else we can consider it as a fail. Okay. So this is the conditions. So every condition will give us one result. Either it is true, either it is false. If condition is true, Python will execute a certain code. Let's say in the similar example, if I tell you here, I have written that print pass. Okay. We will be looking practically on the code side, but just to give you an example. So if this condition is true, Python will execute this block of code. If it is false, it will execute this block of code. Okay. So this is how the conditional statement works. So now let's move to the Jupyter notebook and we will start practically looking at this conditional statement. If I go and create a day 8 conditional statement dot ip y and b. Okay, marks is equal to 85, and if marks is greater than or equal to 40, and the action will be to print pass. Okay, so let's execute our first condition. Okay, it is printing pass. So how this works? So the variable stores the value 85, and we are checking with the if statement if the value inside the variable marks is greater than. If it is meeting this condition, if it is giving true, then this block of code will be executed. Else, it won't take any action. Let's say if I take a similar example where the condition is false, if I take 20, so it won't be performing any action, it won't give the output. The important part is the use of keyword if and along with it the colon. Also, in the next statement, if you see, there are 4 spaces. This is called as indentation. Okay, going back to the example that we saw. So if we write in the exact Python way, if marks are 40, in the next statement, we will be giving 4 spaces. Okay, and then printing the statement. So this indentation is very important. As compared to other language, we are not using any curly braces or any kind of other brackets to identify our block of code that should be executed based on any condition. So Python will treat this indentation as a separation to mark it as a block of code that should be executed. Let's say anything outside this indentation won't be considered under the if condition. If I say here, let's say I print test. Okay, if I execute, because this test does not fall under this if condition, it will be executed without any issues. Okay, now let's say we have to write a code for if else condition. Previously we just wrote for if, now we have marks equal to 35 if marks is greater than equal to 40 semicolon, then enter. In VS Code, the indentation automatically it takes when you click enter after hitting the semicolon. Okay, print pass. In this condition, we are also providing the else block where it will print if the above condition fails, it will print a fail. Okay, so here you can see it gave fail. So this is where else becomes useful. If the condition is true, Python will execute the pass. If the condition is false, it will execute else. Okay, the else block will be executed. Now let's go to if elif else. So let's say we have multiple conditions. These are only like 2 conditions. If this is true, it will execute this block. If this is false, it will execute this block. So let's say I have marks equal to 82. Then if marks greater than equal to 90, print grade A elif marks greater than equal to 75, print grade B elif marks greater than equal to 60, print grade C and If all the condition fail, there is else block which will print grade B. Okay. So this will be if elif else block. Okay. So here as 82 falls under this condition. Okay. So it will be executing this block of code. Everything else will be skipped and it will be just executing the elif block where marks is greater than 75 because it is not greater than 90. The first block is skipped. So sometimes one condition is not enough. In that scenarios, we are using this if elif block. We need multiple decisions and Python checks each condition one by one. As soon as any condition is true, it will execute that block and after that it will ignore the other blocks out that are written beside it. Okay. Now let's understand about the comparison operators that will be useful to write the condition. Right now, we are using this operators. These are called comparison operators. So let me show you comparison operators. Okay. So A equal to 10, B equal to 20. Okay. Now let's say I am printing if A equal to B. So basically comparison operators are used to write the conditions in the if else or any conditional statement. Okay. Print A not equal to B. Print A greater than B. Print A less than B. Print A greater than equal to B. Print A less than equal to B. Okay. And we will run this cell. Okay. So now conditions, whatever we see inside this one, if else statement that are built using this conditional operators. Okay. This one is called equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than equal to, and less than equal to. These are all the comparison operators, and always the output for this comparison operator is true or false. So let's say I have written a equation here using the comparison operator. The final output will be true or false. Based on that true or false, the block of code will be executed or not. That decision making will be done by Python. Okay. Now moving to logical operators. So the previous one was comparison operators. Now this is logical operators. Okay. So let's say marks is equal to 75 and we have attendance equal to 80 and we are writing if marks greater than or equal to 40 and attendance is greater than equal to 75, then print eligible. Okay. So sometimes one condition is not enough for us. We may need to write two conditions, and we will be comparing if these two conditions are matching or either one of them is matching. So in that scenario, we will be using the logical operators and or. So let's say this is and or. Okay. So whenever we write and means this both conditions should match. If either of them gives a output as false, the whole condition will be treated as false. In the scenario of or, if either of the condition is true, if any of the condition is true, the whole output will be treated as true, and then the block of code will be executed. So that is how the logical operators work. Okay. So let's take an example for or also. So fees paid is equal to false and scholarship is equal to true. So if fees paid or scholarship, print allow admission. Okay. So here the logic is quite simple, that either the student should have paid the fees or either they have a scholarship. If the condition is meeting, either of the condition is meeting, they will be allowed the admission. Okay. So let's execute this. If you see here, this is one condition is true, the whole condition will be treated as true, and this block of code will be executed. So this is how the or operator works. There is one more, that is not. Let me write the code for that. Please pending false if not fees pending print generate ID card. Okay. So what we are doing? We are checking a condition if fees is paid or not, but with a not operator. So not will reverse the condition. It will check if fees is paid, yes, then it will revert. If not paid, then it won't execute this card. Okay. So here it is able to execute because what it is doing, it is converting this false to true with the help of not, and then executing this block of code. Okay. So we have seen all the logical operators. There is one more thing, that is nested if. Okay. So nested if. So if we have to check condition inside a condition, that is called nesting, and we can have as many layers as we want. So let me write the code for that one. 82 marks are 82 and attendance is 90. Okay. So if marks are greater than or equal to 40, then go and check the attendance. If it is greater than or equal to 75, and print eligible for certificate. Okay. So sometimes we are dependent that one decision that we are making here, the attendance, we are making a decision for that. But before we are checking if the student has more than 40 marks, then only we need to check this condition. Okay. So that condition, wherever we are checking, first student should pass, and then we will be checking the attendance should also be more than 75%. Then they are eligible for the certificate. In these scenarios, we will be using the nesting, and this is called as nested if statement. Okay. So coming back to the blackboard, whatever we did the coding till now, just to summarize that part, the simple thing that Python will be doing, we will be writing a condition. We will check if it is true, then execute. If it is false, we have a block of code in the else that will be executed. Okay. So Python will be checking the condition. If it is true, it will execute the first block of code. If not, then it will go to the else block and will execute the code written under that block. Okay. So just to summarize what we have learned today. So we started with an example where the condition is needed. What is the importance of the conditional statement? Like if the student has certain passing mark, the program itself should be able to decide whether it's a pass or fail based on the condition checking. So that we have studied. Then we moved to the code part. We started with if else, then if elif else, then we moved to the conditional operators, then logical operators, and or not, that all we saw. Then we went to nested if. Okay, and then we understood the final flow, how the condition, if it is true, it executes, and if it is false, it executes the else block. So in the next video, we will be seeing how we can do a repetitive work more easy in a programmatically way. Let's say we have to execute a certain code again and again. If you have to print a statement 5 times, you don't have to write 5 lines of code. That can be executed using loops. So that loop concept we will be understanding in the upcoming videos. Okay. So that's all for this video. If you are liking this playlist, keep watching. Thank you and have a nice day.